thorough explanation on the movement of health insurance money from activities to corrections, but there was also movement from administration to corrections. Could you explain the lack of funding that was necessary in administration?
The motion was to appropriate a certain amount.
I didn't ask for the motion, but the
certain
reasoning
lines.
behind it. Because Representative Tilden gave a very thorough explanation on the movement from activities. That was based upon the number of staffing, and I just wonder what the research was that went into Representative Sylvia's motion to take more money from administration.
It's
Maybe
not on the
Representative
floor.
Sylvia knows.
The motion is not on the floor.
I'm not asking for a motion.
That's a question.
I asked a question, direct question of Representative Sylvia. Perhaps you can answer.
Passed. We've already voted on it. The numbers have been jockeyed around so much. I thought that numbers there have been up and down, and it looked like there was some flexibility in it, so that was part of my motion. We needed to get it to the corrections department because we want to make sure that they actually get the staff that we have voted for.
Okay.
Numbers have been jerked around all the time.
Okay. Yes?
Let me ask you a question. So there was a condition put on accepting the TAN note. I'm wondering if we could make the scheduling for when that would be accepted now that the budget has been done.
It was contingent upon this vote.
So now that it's being done, I'm wondering when that will be scheduled.
That has nothing to do with us. We voted on the budget. Now the commissioner is now that we've done our part. The TAN was approved, condition upon passing the 2014 budget. We've now voted on the budget. The administration goes forward with the TAN. Yeah, as far as I know. Okay, I was asked and am happy to open up the floor for public comment on the budget. Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Steve Merrill, and I'm from Meredith. I think, you know, like, sitting here, it's just kind of really troublesome. And I think I speak for the majority of the people that live in this county when I say that this is very disturbing, the way this budget process was handled. And I don't make a statement like that lightly, and I say that because we elected the commissioners, the county did. I mean, like, all of the voters of this county elected all of these commissioners, and it seems like this delegation has just thrown their opinions out the window. It has disrespected what we as the voters have asked you to do, and that is kind of respect their judgment. We put them in place to make certain judgments. The most disturbing thing you did was with the health insurance. The $540,000 cut, if there's 171 employees, as Mr. Tilton had suggested, I average that out to $3,000 a person. And, you know, so that's basically a $3,000 a cut in each person's salary. And we're either going to have a whole bunch of very disgruntled employees, or as Mr. Nadeau has suggested, we're going to have to cut employees so that we can up their salaries and provide, compensate for the health insurance line item that you didn't provide fully. The final point I'll make is on the corrections line item. There was a line item in there where you had cut the overtime for corrections. So first you cut $3,000 out of their salaries, basically, and then you cut the overtime. So these guys are going to not show up for work, or they're going to call in sick, and then you can't call somebody in because you don't have an overtime line item. And so I don't know who's going to run the jail if we can't call people in because we don't have an overtime line item. So I just think what you guys did is just really disturbing. I don't think you were elected to do what you did. I think, you know, we the voters of the Belknap County asked you to be a little bit more responsible and a little bit more respectful of the commissioners. Thank you.
Over here first.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm a resident of Belknap County, and I am in total disagreement with this gentleman said, because to have health insurance, to add on health insurance for my husband at my place of employment is $750 a month, plus every tax dollar that is generated from the private sector pays 100% of the county, the public sector salaries. We pay 95% of your health costs plus all of our stuff. And every time you raise taxes, with the we don't get the cost of living increase, we don't get raises regularly, and so, you know, I guess, I just question, when did it become an absolute that the budget has to increase? And then I think, what's changed now from last year? Nothing. We just heard that oil is gonna go up $4 a barrel. My friend just paid $950 to fill her oil tank. We just donated some wood to another neighbor who is out of wood and can't afford the oil. So, you know, when you look at the big picture and everything, and I can't help but sensing that it's so personal that if the taxpayer who is working in the private sector is working, I'm working 2 jobs right now. And my husband is self-employed, he's only working part-time when the work comes. All right, so we're, you know, turning down the heat, we're cutting where we can, we're doing what we can, we're helping people where we can. But the reality is that I don't place my work value on whether or not I get a raise. I see it for what it is. Either your employer, which is the taxpayers, can afford it or they can't. And, you know, when we look at the unemployment levels in New Hampshire, anyone who's self-employed doesn't even count in those numbers. They can't collect unemployment. And I just think that you people were voted in to do exactly what you did. There historically has never been an ebb and flow with the spending, with the economy. The economy goes down, it tanks. The second it goes up a little bit, all we hear is, oh, it's rebounding. No, it's not. It's got to go a long way before we get back to where we started, before it tanks so low. So there's a lot of misinformation about that out there as well. I was asked last week after the meeting, some gentleman asked me, don't I think that the aides at the nursing home deserve shouldn't they get a 30-cent an hour raise? Well, if I could afford it, I'd be the first one, I'd be right up front advocating for that, and I would say, give them a raise. I can't afford it. Nobody I know can afford it. Everywhere I go, I hear grumbling. In the grocery store, at the post office, everywhere I go, I hear people grumbling about how much everything is costing. And we have a lot of unidentified expenses with the managed care that's in the state right now, with what's coming with Obamacare and all of that. So, you know, where does it end? We can't just keep growing and growing and growing unsustainably. So I applaud you all. I know it's painful. I think you've made the painful decisions. I think there's been a little bit of give and take on both sides. I'm glad to see that. I would like to see more respect, especially at this table right here. I sit behind you people and I see you snickering. I see your comments and your digs and your dirtiness. And it's bad for everybody. It's bad for everybody to have that. And on the floor as well. So, thank you for listening.
Over here and then in the middle.
My name is Dave DeVoy. I'd like to thank Colette Warsman for her leadership, bringing you all together to get this budget through. There was an increase of 2.3%. The working people can't get here by 5 o'clock. The silent majority is with you. That's why we put you in office. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Yes.
I have come to these meetings for the last 2 years, and I was here last week when you were talking about the budget, and from my understanding then, the cost of what the original budget would have been to a Meredith taxpayer, which is who I am, on an average house, I think of $150,000, is 4 cents a day. Now, in reading, when Steve Meadow just read that letter, it said $11, and I think that's a yearly cost. Is that true, Steve?
Yes.
Yes. So it's even less than 4 cents on an average home. And your job is not only to cut taxes. In fact, I don't think your job is to cut taxes. I think your job is to be responsible. And I think it's to be compassionate and to look out for not only the taxpayers, but those county employees who need it, and the department heads who have requested monies for particular things, like the sheriff asking for new cruisers so he can make it across the county safely. And the jail, being able to secure the jail, both for the residents and the inmates. I'd like to just say that, I did take some notes here. I only know one person up here in the delegation's actual job, and that is Bob Greenmore. and you may not like this analogy, Bob, but this is how I feel. I feel like that this delegation is asking someone, it would be like asking you to sharpen your tools with a stone. You're asking them to go back to the dark ages and keep living on what they've had to live on. Nobody can do that. I can't live on what I made 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So this may sound really over the top, and it somewhat is, but I'm really, really disgusted. And that is, I have brought with me $35 in pennies, and I am willing to give it to you 3 reps to cover the $11 a year that it would cost you to keep this budget the way it was.
I'm Hunter Taylor from Alton, and let me say, when I first moved to New Hampshire 4 years ago, I was rather intrigued by the concept of the county convention. I mean, I couldn't figure it out. I've never seen anything like this in any of the other states that I've lived in. And it dawned on me. I mean, the citizens, when I was on a school board in New Jersey, the citizens got to vote on the budget. And they voiced their will. I was on the losing end of some of that. But we don't get to vote on the budget, but you're representing us. And let me say that the 3 representatives from my district, I have no quarrels with the way any of you voted. You know who you are. And let me point out, the average per capita income in Belknap County is about $29,400. You know how much the average cost of an insurance policy is to county employees? It's $28,811, and about $1,000 of that is paid by the employee. I mean, look at what public employee unions are doing across the country. They're bearing some of the pain that the rest of us are bearing. And I think what you have done is something that does need to be done. It's not easy. But let me talk about the elephant in the room, and it does bother me. We've got a jail that I think has been grossly ignored in recent years. I fully anticipated that we would have some proposal that would go to the miserable county jail situation that we've got. I tried to involve myself in this process. And the last meeting I attended of the Commissioners Committee, they still wanted to use as a starting point a $42 million Richie Green proposal. We can get it down by the bidding process. Well, what we need to do is to come up with a $12 to $15 million jail. Now, this is not going to go over well with some people who don't want to spend anything. But guess what? Time's coming when you're going to have to spend that money. And you better tighten your belts right now to deal with that time. That is a huge problem, and it's lurking not on the far horizon. It's lurking on the near horizon. There's going to be a federal judge in Concord who is likely to come in and tell you what to do. And quite frankly, I think we should do it ourselves. And I hope, and I haven't seen much evidence that the 2 groups represented in this convention can ever get together on anything. But it would be nice if those of you who are close, or say closer to the commissioners, put a little heat on them. Let's go back and start over, and let's do this jail right. When I suggested it in a committee meeting that it could be done for $12 to $15 million, and it's being done other places, that Richie Green per square foot cost is almost double the average cost in this country. We don't need that, and we can't afford it. But hopefully, some of you will put some, I won't say pressure, but encouragement on the commissioners. Get off of Richie Green. Go look at some things that have been built in an affordable way, and let's start again, and let's get it right this time. Now, I'm not going to blither on too much longer. But one thing that did trouble me tonight, I can't believe that any group within this group would try to exploit. Well, let me say this. I can't believe you had a meeting on the night of the 18th. And I fault the chair for that. That should not have happened. But I fault any of you who are trying to exploit a vote that was taken that night. Can't believe that one of you doesn't make a motion to simply rescind the legal effect, if any, of that vote. Get that off the table. I mean, this business of running the court, you look like a bunch of fools, in my opinion. That's the beauty of free speech in this country. I mean, you know, it's high time that you acted like adults, and you're not. And there's a little of that going on both sides of the aisle. Well, I've said my piece, so thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. Yes.
Sandy Dutra.
In her capacity as clerk, and the chair in her capacity of chair have been filed, a lawsuit has been filed, and so I formally request the commissioners ask Attorney Fitzgerald to represent us in our capacity so that we can respond to this summons for civil action.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's up to the Board of Commissioners as to who the attorney might be. We'll certainly look into it. As soon as we get a copy of whatever paper was served on you, we'll go from there.
Thank you very much. Oh, there has been a copy made from the department, so you'll have one. Thank you.
A copy for who? We don't have a copy.
Well,
We
you
were not
made 16 for me today, Deb.
Yes, I did, and you took all 16.
We will get you a copy. There we go. Okay, is there any further business? Yes.
According to all the filed papers that I have, there are meetings scheduled for Friday night and
very
Saturday morning.
Great
And I want
point.
to know, now that the budget's been passed, what the heck we're going to talk about for 2 days.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So it would be, I have been trying to make certain that we had contingent meeting nights scheduled. So if there is not any other business, it would be my hope that we can cancel both of those meetings. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Is there any?
Second.
So officially, those 2 meetings have been canceled. Thank you very much, and I have accepted a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you very much. Really appreciate the input from the public.
Are you done? I'm done. Oh, sorry. It's all right. I mean, I was flying.
Croc TV.